Hey everyone, today we are going to be solving our one-step equations. So we worked on identifying solutions to equations. Today we're actually going to work on solving and then checking our solutions. So we are going to first talk about the properties of equality for addition and subtraction. So when we look at equations, we now have an expression that has an equal sign in it. So the addition property of equality says that if you have any numbers, a, b, and c are variables, but we can replace them with any numbers. If a and b are equal to each other, then I can add the same number to both sides and the expression will still be equal. And it also works for subtraction. So if a is equal to b, then I can subtract the same number from both sides and they remain equal. So it says, what does this mean? So when you add or subtract each side of an equation by the same number, the two sides remain equal. Okay, so that's what those first two things talk about, the addition property of equality and the subtraction property of equality. When I do one of those two things, as long as I do it to both sides, the expressions remain equal. And then addition and subtraction are considered inverse operations. That's why we do them together, because addition undoes subtraction and then subtraction undoes addition. So when we talk about solving, we're going to solve using inverse operations. So as I move down here, I've got this lovely scroll here that walks through some steps for how to solve. So it says steps for solving one-step equations. The first thing you are going to do, and this is never going to go away for your entire life of solving equations, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw a line through the equal sign. So I'm going to use example number 1 to kind of walk through these steps. So I'm going to draw a line through the equal sign. Then it says to circle or highlight your variable. So I'm going to highlight my variable here because I have a highlighter. So I'm going to highlight my variable. That's the thing that I'm solving for. So that's the piece of information that I don't know that I'm trying to figure out. Then step 3 says determine which operation is being used in the equation. So it says x minus 5. So the operation that is being used is minus 5. Use the inverse operation to isolate the variable in step 4. So the inverse operation of subtraction is addition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show that I'm going to add 5 to both sides. Now when I add 5 to both sides, my goal is to get the x by itself. So negative 5 plus 5 is actually going to cancel out. And all I'm left with on this side is x equals, because my goal is to get the x by itself. And then on the other side, I can go ahead and add these two numbers together. 7 plus 5 is 12. So my solution to this equation is x equals 12. And then yesterday we worked on, well, we can check that. We can make sure that it's right. So I'm going to plug into my original equation and see if it's true. So 12 minus 5 is equal to 7. 7 is equal to 7. That is absolutely true. My solution is correct. Okay, so we're going to walk through this process again in number 2. So I'm going to first draw a line down the equal sign. Step number 2, I'm going to highlight my variable. Then I'm going to look at my equation. I'm going to say what operation is being done in the equation. Well, y plus 2, I'm adding 2 to my variable. So I'm going to undo that by subtracting 2 from both sides. Your goal is to get the variable by itself. So 2 minus 2 leaves me with nothing except for the y that's left over. And then 43 minus 2 is 41. So now I'm going to check my answer, and I'm going to make sure that that works. So I'm going to say 41 plus 2 is 43. 43 is 43, so I am absolutely correct. Everything is good. You may still use a calculator, and we are going to check every single equation that we solve, so we shouldn't ever get one wrong. Okay, so for number 7, I'm going to draw a line through the equal sign. I'm going to highlight my variable. And in this one, it says 3 plus x. And the thing that I'm looking at here is I'm looking at this number and the fact that that number is positive. Because that number is positive, I'm going to use a minus sign to undo it. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So 5 minus 3 is 2, and then x is left on the right-hand side. So my solution is x equals 2, and now I'm going to check my answer. So 5 equals 3 plus 2. 5 is indeed equal to 5, so my answer checks out. In number 8, I am going to draw a line down my equal sign. I am going to highlight my variable. I forgot to renumber these things, so this should be number 4 technically. And then I'm going to say, well, 16 plus z, I'm looking at this number right here. This number is positive, so I'm going to undo that positive with a negative, with a negative. So I'm going to subtract. The inverse operation of a positive is going to be minus. So I'm left with z equals, and then 25 minus 16 is 9. So now I can check. So 16 plus 9 equals 25. 25 is equal to 25. Perfect. For number 9, I have x plus 5 is equal to 11. So I'm going to line down my equal sign. I'm going to highlight my variable. And then I'm undoing plus 5. Well, to undo plus 5, I'm going to subtract 5. So x is equal to 6. And when I check my solution, 6 plus 5 equals 11. 11 absolutely equals 11. In number 10, x minus 8 is equal to 12. So there's my variable. I am undoing a minus 8 with a plus 8. So x equals 20. So when I do 20 minus 8, do I get 12? Absolutely, I do. So 12 is equal to 12, and all my answers check out. This is solving equations by addition and subtraction. So you're going to figure out what is happening in your equation and how are you going to undo it. And then we always, always, always check our solutions. Because if we check our solutions, we're either going to get a yes or a no. If we get a yes, on to the next. If we get a no, we have to go back and check what we did wrong. You may also begin using a calculator at this point, so I will be encouraging you to take advantage of that tool. And we will have a worksheet for homework tomorrow in class, so we will not be doing any homework tonight. You're going to have a whole day of practice in class tomorrow. Adios.